Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is part 2 of my Q&A. We're just gonna go ahead and jump right on in with the next question. It is, what is your ultimate career goals? Did you go to college? Do you have a degree? I'm getting ready to move to Atlanta from Texas. Any suggestion on areas? So we used to live in Brookhaven, which is right near downtown, and I loved living in Brookhaven. It's like a little suburb within the city, and it was beautiful and nice. But if you're looking for a more suburban feel, where there's, a lot more, moms and children, I would probably look in like Cobb County, or if you want to go north of the city, Forsyth County, or south of Atlanta in McDonough. Those are like my favorite places. And as far as the other questions, my ultimate career goal would probably be to host some sort of travel show or show on like HGTV. Like, I love those types of shows, and I would love to be a host of one of those. And I did go to college. I graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Mass Media with an emphasis in broadcast journalism. My next question is, how has my pup reacted to Bash? I have a Yorkie and a Poodle, and I'm nervous about how my first babies will react when I have a real baby. Well, here's my puppy now. She's been sitting here with me since I started part 2. She's taking it okay. She's gotten very territorial because she's realized that she is not the only baby in our lives anymore, but she is not violent or dangerous or anything toward him. And so I just think spending extra time with her and loving on her will hopefully help. And when he gets older, it will make things a lot easier. Would you ever want twins? I know you've mentioned IVF in the past, that's why I ask. So I haven't done IVF, we did do IUI, which is 2 different things, but I would not want twins. Twins run in my family, and it was honestly a huge fear for me to have twins. I think on paper and in theory, having twins would be cool because you can dress them up. If they're, I guess, girl and girl or boy and boy, you can dress them up to look just alike and all of these things, but I don't and did not want to, and I don't want to ever carry twins. The next question is, how was your breastfeeding experience? It was rough at the beginning. I had a very, very bad oversupply of milk, and I also did not know what I was doing. I didn't feel like I left the hospital knowing what I was doing, and that's important. If you are at the hospital, get as much help as you can if you didn't take a class prior to on breastfeeding, because I didn't, but get as much help from the nurses as you can. Don't feel bad for asking them to come in and watch you or supervise you, and they're gonna touch all over you, but honestly, it'll be worth it, because if you don't know what you're doing, going home, especially not knowing what you're doing, is even worse. So at the beginning, it was really tough for me, and I struggled with it. I hated it at the beginning, and now after my milk has regulated, well, it regulated around 3 months, which is a long time. I don't hate it anymore. I'm ready to not be doing it anymore, but I understand and completely see the benefits of it, and so I will do it until hopefully he's a year. What about a house tour? You guys will get a house tour when I finish decorating. We just moved in, and actually behind that couch right there are still boxes that we have not unpacked. We also don't have a dining room table over there because we just got our old furniture out, and so once I finish decorating and we redo our room and everything, you guys will get a house tour. Do you go to church regularly, and do you plan to raise Bash in your faith? I 100% plan to raise Bash in our faith. I don't know any other way. I was raised Christian. I went to a private school, a private Christian school, all the way up until my senior year. So from kindergarten to 11th grade. And then I wanted to try a public school just because, which is actually, I'm happy I did, because that's where I met Brandon. But I would love to have him have the same type of education that I had as well. And when we first gave birth to Bash, we were not going to church regularly just because I was, 1, suffering from the postpartum, and 2, I didn't want to take him and expose him to the germs. Now that he's a little bit older, I still don't think I'm going to put him in the nursery, but I don't mind being, at church with him. When you have another baby, will you find out the gender, and if so, early through blood test, or wait till you get the ultrasound around 16 to 20 weeks? I actually found out that Bash was a boy when I was 14 weeks. There's a place here that does it early, and I will not get the blood test, and it's nothing against anyone who does get the blood test. I just know personally I wouldn't do anything about it. So if I were to find out like that my baby was Down syndrome, I would keep it, and I don't want to be freaked out my entire pregnancy knowing that there's going to be something wrong ahead of time. I'd rather just not know until it comes time, and then you know, hit the ground running with all the things that I can do to help my baby. So as far as getting that type of gender confirmation, I won't be getting the blood test ever. How did Bash do after his 6-month shots? He did great. He had no reactions or anything, nothing, not even, you know, to the area where they stuck him. He seemed to be perfectly fine. I'm going back to work on March 19th. I'm breastfeeding / pumping my 11 to 12 week baby, and I notice my milk is getting lower and lower. I'm doing everything to have more milk. I'm feeling guilty quitting and formula feed my baby. What's your secret on breastfeeding? Honestly, I really don't have a lot of tips there, but what I will say is continue to pump. I think they say pump more often. That may be something you want to talk about with a lactation coach, but this is my thing on breast milk / formula. Fed is the best way possible. So if your milk supply dwindles down, do not feel bad giving that baby formula. If my milk dried up tomorrow, I would not feel bad, because the most important thing is that baby getting fed. And breast milk, obviously, to a lot of people is the most ideal form, and for me it is as well, but I mean, I have no qualms against formula at all. Honestly, if Bash would have taken formula or taken a bottle earlier on in his life, I probably wouldn't be breastfeeding right now. So don't feel bad about formula, just feed that baby. Did you grow up Christian, or did you become a Christian when you were older? I grew up that way. I became a Christian when I was 7 and I knew what I was doing. This is a good one. How do you keep your marriage fresh with the baby? Well, first of all, I like to ask Brandon constantly, like, how he's feeling. Does he feel still happy? Like, I just do check-ins with him, trying to make sure that, like, he's still feeling like his needs are being met as far as, like, emotionally and all of those types of things. And then, you know, this was a struggle for me, but passing your baby off and allowing other family members to watch your baby so that you guys can go out and have a date. And just the other day, we had a day date. We went to the movies for the first time since I was probably 38 or 35 weeks pregnant. And just the two of us, we went and we held hands like teenagers, and it was just like really cute. And just make sure you're making time for your significant other, and because it is so much about the baby all the time, and that really just does not go away. Like, it will always be about the baby. And just do check-ins and make sure that you guys are, you know, still having the same types of thoughts and are feeling the way you should be in your marriage. Who are your favorite YouTubers? Well, before I started my own YouTube channel, I did not know or watch a lot of other moms. I watched Aaryn, obviously, Liza, Caitlin Nair, Love Meg, and I think Brittany Boren Leach. And then when I actually started my YouTube channel and I was on YouTube a lot more, I started to see moms like Tiffany Beeston and Tara Henderson and Brianna Kay and Christiana from Flip Side of the Moon. I'm trying to think, Anna Saccone, and like Jamie and Nikki. How tall are you? I am 5'5". When did you realize you wanted to be a vlogger? How long did it take to get to where you are? Well, I've only had my channel for about a month and a half, so it's only taken, I guess, a month and a half. And I realized, like I said earlier in the in part 1, I messaged Aaryn at the end of the year, so probably around November, I sent her a text and I said, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna start the YouTube channel in the new year. And I remember it being football season and Brandon was working and Bash was asleep. We were actually in a hotel, and I laid there and I thought, I need something to myself, and I don't have a hobby anymore. Like, I don't have anything that is just mine and where I can control, you know, what goes on, you know, and what's happening. And that's when I decided, okay, vlogging will be for me. And I started my channel. I geared up and I bought all my equipment and I started my channel in the new year. Oh, this is a good one. How did you financially transition from working to being a stay-at-home mommy? Have you had to make adjustments to be able to do this? First time mom over here, about to transition into working part-time. Such a scary and exciting decision. I don't go shopping as much as I used to. I'll go to the mall, but I don't necessarily, you know, just frivolously spend like I once did. Also, we stopped going out to eat as much as we used to. We used to eat out all of the time, especially when we lived down in Atlanta, and now we don't. We also stockpiled and bought a lot of the baby things early, so while I still had 2 checks coming into the household. And I think just overall watching how we spend and not frivolously spending, anymore has really helped. And I'm so thankful and so blessed that this has worked out, but I was fully prepared to have to go back to work if I needed to, if we could not swing it financially. But just get real with yourself as far as your bank account and your spending and expenses are concerned, and if you can swing it, why not? Where in the world would you love to live? I would love to live in Monte Carlo, by that beautiful water. Who would not want to live in Monaco? This is a little bit of a TMI question, so sorry if this bothers you, but this is a total mom question, so I'm gonna answer it. When did your cycle return after having Bash, or are you still waiting? I'm having problems regulating mine, and my baby is 6.5 months. So I got the IUD probably at 4 or 6 weeks postpartum. I think it was 6 weeks, maybe 4, I can't remember now. And I have had an irregular cycle ever since. And so I can't really answer that because I don't think that my experience is like a normal one. Most people don't get it for several months after their babies are born. I got mine almost immediately after I got the IUD put in, and it has been irregular ever since. So I really am not the one to give information about that. I'm sorry. The next question is, what was your labor and delivery story? How did it go? Were you induced? Did you deliver via cesarean section or vaginally? Did you have an epidural? Were there complications? So I will give you a labor and delivery story, and I did say earlier that I did not push him out because he came out on a contraction, but some of these other questions I didn't answer. It went fine. There were no complications. I got induced on my due date, and I did get an epidural. Do you get anxious / feel awkward vlogging in public? Absolutely. I have probably filmed 5 or 6 vlogs that have never seen the light of day because I still doubt my ability in vlogging in public, and also because I just don't think I've gotten the hang of doing like daily vlogs yet. But I told myself the last time I was filming one that I'm just not gonna care. If people see my camera, they're just gonna see it. What are some tips for newlyweds? I actually am looking forward to talking more about like marriage and things like that on my channel. Tips for newlyweds are enjoy this season in your life. Like, don't focus on the future. Don't focus on what you don't have when you compare yourself to your older married friends, or not older friends, but people who've just been married longer who may be your age. Just focus on where you are in your life. I will never forget the first apartment Brandon and I lived in together, because we didn't live together prior to getting married. And I moved in, well, I moved all my stuff in 2 weeks before we got married, and then I officially came home from our honeymoon. We left the day after the wedding, and I came home and lived with him, and we had this little apartment, and it was cute, and it was just like the best time. It was so fun. We didn't have a lot of stress, and we weren't trying to have a baby yet, so none of that was like even a factor, and we just had so much fun, just the two of us, like getting to know each other in a different way, as far as like, you know, how messy we are, or how, you know, OCD we are, or blah blah blah. And it was just so fun. So just enjoy the season you're in, travel, go out, do fun things with each other, and just really spend that time loving on each other. Where do you like to travel to? If we are staying in Georgia, I love to just go down to Savannah. It's beautiful down there and calm, and I always feel recharged when we come back. But I would just like to go anywhere tropical where I can be on the beach and in the water and like experience a different type of culture. Those are my favorite types of travel places. Is Bash a mommy's boy or a daddy's boy? I would have to say both. He loves Brandon. They have so much fun together. They play together a lot, and Brandon can make him laugh, and they do like cute little games and stuff with each other. With me, he comes to me for comfort, and when he wants to be coddled and sweet talked and just, oh, sweet, like he comes to me for that. And also he spends the most time with me, so you know, I think he's a mama's boy in that aspect, just because I'm the one who like takes care of him for 8 hours straight, you know, before anyone else comes over or Brandon comes home. So I think probably both. How did you get your baby to take the bottle? So a lot of you have seen my Insta story that I posted probably earlier this week or the end of last week, where Bash was taking the bottle. The bottle that he ended up taking, and it was like a miracle, was the Tommy Tippy, and I just have been working with him every day on it, and he finally took it. But I think that what really helped us was the flow of the nipple. I didn't realize, but I was still forcing the newborn one upon him, not realizing that that's not the correct size. So we ended up buying the level 3 flow, and I have a fast letdown like naturally on my own, so I realized like the newborn one was probably way too slow for him when you compare it to how I am. And the level 3 worked, and I mean, it's still a work in progress. I've tried to give him one since, and he only got down like 1 ounce, but progress. Okay, so now I had a couple questions come into my DMs, and I'm going to answer these now. The first question is, what is your uploading schedule? Currently I upload probably twice a week, and in April I'm gonna start the Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule. So hopefully that works out for me. Stay tuned. The next question is, I was wondering how you handle strangers touching your baby in public. It happened to me for the first time yesterday, and 3 different people did it. One even kissed his hand. I don't want to be rude because they were talking to us and being so nice, but healthy boundaries are needed too. I'm not gonna lie, the first time it made me nauseous. Honestly, this was something I struggled with at the very beginning too, because I did have strangers kiss his hands and touch his face. One woman, I was actually holding him, and he, his face was up here, and she grabbed his arm, pulled him close to her, and kissed his cheek, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, but you don't want to be rude, so I was just like, oh, haha, thank you, oh, so cute, like, and I was horrified. The best thing I can say, especially when your baby is really little, when you go out, try to get one of those car seat covers, like the kind that has the hole in the top so you can see down into it. The person would have to stick their hand down into that hole to get them, and you can stop them before then. Also, if they look like they're coming in to touch him, just say like, I'm so sorry, like, he hasn't had all of his vaccinations yet. I just don't want anyone touching him. I'm just a crazy mom, and make it all about like your fault. Like, you just don't want anyone on him. And then the other thing is, just be prepared, because people are gonna touch your baby. There's nothing you can do about it. I feel your pain though. All right, well, that wraps up part 2 of my Q&A. Thank you so much to everyone who participated. I had so much fun answering these questions. If you have any other questions, or if I didn't get to yours, I will try to answer them over on Instagram, or you can send me a message and I will answer them. I am very active over there and try to answer within 2 to 3 days. And as always, I ask that you give this video a thumbs up and make sure that you're subscribed. And if you loved it or love my channel, please share it with your friends and family. I am so happy with the growth that my channel has made, and I will be forever grateful to all of you who are sticking with us. Make sure you turn your notification bell on, and I will see you in my next video.